business resilience in a disrupted world. In an era defined by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, what we now call the VUCA world, business leaders face an urgent and pressing challenge: how to build resilience not just to survive disruption, but to thrive through it. From global pandemics to geopolitical tensions, from supply chain shocks to climate crises, disruption is no longer the exception. It is the operating environment. Business resilience is no longer a buzzword. It's a core competency, and a decisive factor that separates organizations that fade away from those that emerge stronger, leaner, and more sustainable. Defining business resilience. So what is business resilience, really? At its core, resilience is an organization's capacity to absorb stress, recover critical functionality, and thrive in altered circumstances. It's not simply about risk management. It's about strategic adaptability. Resilient businesses don't just react. They anticipate, respond, adapt, and evolve. This means embedding flexibility into operations, building intelligence into supply chains, designing systems that recover rapidly after shocks, and fostering a culture where people are empowered to pivot quickly. Resilience is not a department. It's a way of thinking and leading. The drivers of global disruption. To build resilience, leaders must understand the forces reshaping our global landscape. We are in the midst of a perfect storm of global disruptors. Climate change, bringing operational and regulatory shocks. Technological acceleration, creating both opportunities and obsolescence. Geopolitical fragmentation, redefining global trade and security. Economic uncertainty, fueled by inflation, debt cycles, and energy volatility. And societal shifts, from aging populations to shifting labor dynamics. Each of these on its own is disruptive. Together, they require a complete reimagining of how businesses operate, compete, and grow. The strategic value of resilience. Here's the business case: resilience drives performance. According to multiple global studies, resilient companies outperform their peers in both downturns and recoveries. They protect stakeholder trust, preserve capital, and often gain market share while others falter. In fact, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the top quartile of resilient companies recovered 5 times faster than the rest. Why? Because they had pre-invested in capabilities that allowed them to move with speed, clarity, and precision. Resilience is no longer just about continuity. It is a strategic lever for long-term profitability and sustainability. Building resilience, a framework for leaders. So how can today's leaders embed resilience into the DNA of their business? Here's a 5-pillar framework every executive team should consider. Strategic agility, continuously scan the horizon. Build optionality into your strategic plans. Use scenario modeling, not fixed projections. Operational redundancy, diversify supply chains. Digitize workflows. Ensure core functions can recover within critical time windows. Financial shock absorption, maintain liquidity buffers. Align capital allocation with resilience goals, not just returns. Cultural adaptability, empower decision-making at the edges. Build cross-functional collaboration. Encourage experimentation and learning. Stakeholder alignment, engage customers, suppliers, investors, and regulators with transparency. Resilience is as much relational as it is structural. Resilience is not built in isolation. It is an ecosystem approach, inside and outside the business. Resilience and sustainability. Importantly, resilience is not just about bouncing back. It's about building forward better. Today, sustainability and resilience are deeply intertwined. A resilient business is one that reduces its environmental risk exposure. It invests in circular business models. It prepares for regulatory transitions like carbon pricing and ESG compliance. And it embraces purpose, not just profit. When resilience is built with sustainability in mind, businesses are better equipped to meet rising investor expectations, attract next-generation talent, and serve increasingly conscious consumers. Profitability without sustainability is short-lived. Resilience without purpose is fragile. In the decade ahead, global disruptions will only intensify. But with the right mindset, leadership, and strategic investment, organizations can transform disruption into differentiation. This is the call to action for today's leaders. Not to fear disruption, but to be resilient by design. Because the future belongs not to the biggest or the boldest, but to the most adaptive, the most sustainable, and the most resilient. The time to build resilience isn't when the next crisis hits. The time is now.